All right, let's get into it. Today, we're digging deep into something that's been around since the dawn of civilization, farming. But this isn't just about what's on your dinner plate. We're going to uncover how a crisis in this ancient profession is actually holding back economic growth for all of us, all around the world. To really wrap our heads around today's crisis, we've got to go back about 2,000 years. The ancient Tamil sage, Valluvar, he wasn't just talking about a job. He was making a profound statement about society. For him, farming was the only truly free way of life. Everyone else, one way or another, is dependent on somebody else.
And that fundamental idea is where we're going to start. For pretty much all of human history, civilizations understood that their entire existence was built on the harvest.
I mean, you see this impulse to honor the harvest everywhere. In the US, you've got Thanksgiving, which at its core is about celebrating a successful crop. And in India, you have these huge, vibrant festivals like Pongal that are all about the same thing. It's a deep human pattern of just being grateful for what the earth provides.
And that brings us back to Valluvar. He called farmers the linchpin of the world. Think about that. They're not just another piece of the puzzle. They're the central bolt that holds the entire thing together. Everyone else depends on them.
So, if farmers are so crucial, how on earth did we get into the mess we're in today? Well, that's what we're going to look at next. How we went from deep respect for farming to this global price trap that's choking it. And here's how it all went down. For most of history, farming was the bedrock. Then the industrial age hits, and for a little while, things are great. Mechanization means huge productivity. But that created a whole new problem. Massive surpluses. And that overproduction led to crazy global competition, fueled colonial wars, and eventually landed us right in the modern price trap.
And at the very heart of this problem is one word: commoditization. See, a new iPhone is unique, but a bushel of wheat, it's pretty much the same as any other bushel of wheat anywhere in the world. So when there's even a tiny bit more than people need, the prices just collapse. The farmers' costs for fuel, for equipment, they keep going up, but the price they get for their crop gets squeezed lower and lower. They're completely trapped.
Now, this crisis is happening all over the globe, but it looks really different depending on where you are. So let's compare two worlds, the US and India, to see how this same basic problem plays out. And the difference is just stark. In the US, you have these huge, modern farms, and they're going bankrupt. In India, where farming is a massive chunk of the economy, you have small family farms, and they're facing this tragic wave of suicides. The scale is completely different, but the underlying desperation is exactly the same. Let's look a little closer at the West. Even with these massive 200-acre, totally mechanized farms, the business model is just broken. And this isn't a new thing. We're talking about a steady rise in bankruptcies year after year for decades now. It's a huge red flag that even at that scale, the math just doesn't work for a lot of people. Now, over in the East, you have this problem compounded by history. For generations, land gets divided up among the children, so the farms just get smaller and smaller until they're impossible to live on. You get trapped between this tiny plot of land and a mountain of debt. It just becomes an unbearable burden, and the consequences are absolutely heartbreaking. So all of this brings up a really big question, right? Which brings us to our next section, the innovation trap. Why can't farmers just innovate their way out of this whole mess? Seriously, why can't they? I mean, we see it in the tech world, in manufacturing. They are constantly reinventing themselves, finding clever ways to cut costs and be more efficient. What is so different about farming? Well, the first and most important reason is simple. There are natural limits. As one of our sources puts it, farmers can't start serving us food made with plastic just to cut costs. Our bodies can't digest petrochemicals. There are hard biological and ethical lines you just can't cross, lines that a software company or a car maker don't have to worry about. And when we have tried to push those biological boundaries, the results have been, well, terrifying. A really powerful example is when the industry, desperate for higher yields, started using hormones to grow bigger and bigger cattle. I mean, they were apparently starting to resemble small elephants. And that kind of thing contributed to the horrifying outbreak of mad cow disease. And the cost of that failed innovation? It was staggering. To calm down a terrified public, 4.5 million cattle had to be destroyed. You can't just issue a recall for a sick animal like you can for a faulty car part. The risks are on a completely different level. Okay, so if that kind of innovation is a dead end,
What's the answer? That's what we're going to explore now, the way forward. And it's based on this surprising idea that investing in farmers actually helps everyone.
The solution that's proposed is what you might call a middle path. The argument goes that agriculture is way too important to be just thrown to the wolves of a free market, but it's also too dynamic to be completely frozen by government bureaucracy. It needs a smarter, more balanced approach. And the key to this whole idea is something called the economic multiplier effect. It's a fancy term for a simple concept. Helping farmers isn't a handout. It is a strategic investment. The money doesn't just stop in the farmer's field, it ripples out and energizes the entire economy. And you can see exactly how this works. Say you invest in a farm, maybe with better price supports or a loan. What's the first thing that happens? The farmer buys a new tractor. Boom, that's a sale for the steel industry. They have to buy fuel for it. That's a win for the oil industry. And that money then flows from the rural community right back into the urban centers, to the banks, the insurance companies, and back again. It creates this amazing self-funding loop that helps power the whole system.
So the takeaway here is pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. A healthy farm sector is one of the smartest investments a country can make. It means a stronger economy for everybody, it means affordable food for people in the cities, it keeps our rural communities alive, and it even takes some of the pressure off our overcrowded cities. At the end of the day, it's a win for everyone.
Which leaves us with one last big question. If we accept that investing in farming makes the whole economy stronger, where exactly do we put the money to get the biggest bang for our buck? Is it in new technology? Is it in better healthcare for farm workers? Or is it in massive infrastructure projects? For leaders all over the world, finding the right answer to that question is absolutely essential.